Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today we are doing a full budget recap of September and my September budget and my spending and my savings and where did my dollars actually go. So I am 100% open and honest with what's going on with my personal finances. I actually share all of my real numbers, and I do that, one, because I feel like it's relatable. It's something, I don't want to just throw examples at you and say this is how you do it. I want you to see how it's working in someone's real life, and that's one reason I do these full budget recaps and overviews. So what does it mean when I say close out your budget? So you do all of this hard work throughout the month, tracking your spending, estimating your figures for your budget, coming up with budget categories, figuring out your savings goals, your debt payoff goals. With all of that hard work, the information that you are collecting is screaming at you. It's telling you something really important. And that is all about that's what closing out your budget is all about. So I do that by doing a couple of different things. Closing out your budget revolves completely around tracking your spending. Now, I am a manual expense tracker, and I use what's called the highlighter method. So I'm a big, huge, firm believer that you cannot create a budget at all, a working, successful budget, unless you are tracking your spending and are completely 100% aware of where your dollars are going. In fact, I don't even think you should write down numbers on a piece of paper for your budget until you complete this step. This is the number one step in my budgeting process, is tracking your spending. This right here tells you everything that you will need to create a budget. What budget categories should you be using? How much should you assign to each budget category? And not only that, what tweaks and different changes do you need to make along the way for your budget to really be successful for you? So I track all of my spending, and then I go through and I highlight each like expense using highlighter colors. So all of my gas and car maintenance expenses are in purple. All of my savings are in this dark blue color. All of my food expenses are in this light blue. All of my utility expenses are in this like salmon pink color. And that's how I track my spending. Now, I do two separate expense trackers. One for my checking account. So this is all of the expenses that I had going on in September in my checking account. I am an all cash spender, which means I hardly ever swipe my debit card. My checking account is used for two very specific purposes. One, to receive income, and to pay bills that I have on auto pay. I do use my checking account for one other reason. I have a checking account cushion. As an all cash spender, spending money online was hard for me. So what I started to do was keeping a buffer or a checking account cushion where I can use it for online shopping, or if a bill is higher than expected, you're gonna save yourself overdraft fees. My checking account cushion has saved me more than 100 times in the past 9 years that I've been budgeting. It's great and it will save you. So I highly recommend, if you don't have some type of buffer in your checking account, you start one today. And what does that look like? A little bit each paycheck. $10 each paycheck. Leave it in your checking account and let it grow. And I have one for my cash spending, which is right here. So I use three really important worksheets when closing out my budget. They're called Where Did My Money Go worksheets. I also do one other thing. I like to calculate my monthly net worth at the end of every month. If you are paying off debt, and you are filling out the debt payment plan worksheet in the Budget by Paycheck workbook, I have a full video on how to fill this out. I'm debt free, so I did not fill it out this time, but I don't want you to feel like you're missing out, or if you need instructions on how to fill this out, I will put the video to that in the description of this video for you if you're wondering about that worksheet. My monthly net worth increased by 1.4%. It's increased about $5,000. That was mainly for me adding and contributing to my savings accounts. Keep in mind your net worth. Why is it important? Why is it important to track your net worth separate from your savings goals or your debt goals? Your net worth is a combination of the two. It is literally a snapshot of your finances at a specific period of time. Not only are you looking at what you owe, you're looking at what you own. So liabilities versus assets, you put them together and what are you left with? Now, most of the time when people start off with net worth, they have a negative net worth. I had a negative net worth probably for the first 7 years of budgeting because I had debt, student loan debt, car debt, mortgage. All of that will be listed in your liability section. And it just means that you owe more than you own, and that's okay. The goal of your net worth is you want it to steadily increase as you get older. As you start paying off your debts and as you start increasing savings, your net worth should be increasing over time. So I'm currently at a positive net worth of $360,000. Let's jump in very quickly. The first Where Did My Money Go worksheet that I use is my monthly budget category breakdown. This is me essentially adding up all of my different spending categories from my expense trackers and putting it into organized categories on my category breakdown. So I have a lot of different budget categories. They're not just my cash envelopes that I'm using. There are a lot of things that are coming out of my checking account for my bills, etc. So food, insurance, miscellaneous. Now, when you're looking at this, there's a couple of things that I want to mention. Your total monthly income, number one, it's not just earned income. Your total monthly income includes your starting balance. I get tons of questions on the starting balance and it confuses a lot of people. Your starting balance is what you have in your checking account or in your cash envelopes the very first day of a new tracking period. So I track my expenses from the first to the last day of the month. That means I am starting a new tracking period on the first of every month. The amount that's in my checking account and cash envelopes is in my starting balance. So it's that starting balance plus any incoming income, which can be paychecks, savings that you use, alimony, child support, all of it is incoming income. And that's what's gonna give you your total monthly income. If you are seeing things in green, it's because I was either under budget or over budget. Now I do, as a paycheck budgeter, which means I do a paycheck or a budget every single time I get paid, I still like to give myself monthly spending limits. So back in the day when I was getting paid twice a month, I was pulling $200 from each paycheck. That's $400 every 4 weeks, which is about a monthly time frame, and I've left it that way. So I give myself a monthly budget and how much I spent each tracking period, not by paycheck, but each tracking period, and was I over or under? Why is this important? This is what's going to tell you where your dollars went for the month or that tracking period. My biggest expense, or the thing that I spent the most money on, was a couple of different things. My October starting balance. So I had some money left in my checking account in my cash envelopes at the end of September that rolled over into the new month of October. I also saved 16% of my income. I saved a little over $1,000. The next biggest expense for me is, of course, my rent, which is about 14% of my income. The next worksheet that we talk about and are going to talk about and look at is my monthly debt and savings breakdown. So I saved $1,000 out of my total income, which was about $6,500. I saved 16% of my money. But what's really important is I don't want you to just tell yourself, total, how much did you save throughout the month? What I want you to be asking yourself is, what are you saving for specifically? Nothing is more important than giving your savings a purpose. Give it a name. You are less likely to spend the money you save if it has a purpose, because then you can actually feel the trade-offs when you spend it. So let me give you an example. If I decided to spend the money that I have for my house savings account, what am I giving up? I'm giving up a place of my own with my son. Giving up is not an option for that goal for me. It's so important to me in my future. If I spend, I feel guilt, right? And that's kind of what we do really want to feel when we are using savings for a dedicated purpose. So 53% of the money that I saved went towards house savings, 23% went towards sinking funds, which is holidays and events for the future. 10% went towards my son's college fund, 4% towards car maintenance, and 11% towards vacation. Why is it important to break it down like this? It's important because you want to make sure that your spending is aligning with your financial goals. That's the most important thing. And as you can see, my spending and saving reflected that. My biggest goal is saving for my house. 53% of the money that I saved went towards that goal. The same thing with your debt. Now, I don't have debt, but you would list out debt the same way. What are your debt categories? Credit cards, mortgage, student loans, personal loans, whatever it might be, break it down into categories. Now, if you're working with multiple credit cards, it might be really important to even break it down by credit card that you're paying, especially if you're on a debt payoff journey. Is your debt payments going toward your number one priority? Your spending is going to reflect that in the savings and debt breakdown. The next worksheet I focus on is my monthly spending comparison. The reason this worksheet is really important is because are you making progress on your financial goals? Maybe you made a goal to spend less in your food budget than last month. That's what this worksheet does. We're comparing September spending to August. Now, if you are seeing red, I spent more this month than last month. If you're seeing green, I spent less than. Another thing to really pay attention to is your monthly income change. So in the month of September, my income increased by over $400 from the previous month. Why is that important? Because if your income is decreasing or increasing, your spending should be compensating for those increases or decreases. Remember, a zero-based budget, every dollar of your income has a plan, which means it should be reflected somewhere in your spending. So I spent more this month than last month in a lot of my budget categories because I had an income increase for the month. The next thing, so those are the Where Did My Money Go worksheets and why they're really important and how I close out my budget for the month. There are a couple of other things that I like to talk about. So I also like to fill out my trackers. So I fill out my budget trackers every single month at the end of the month. What does that look like? I have a house goal tracker. I color in a line every time I save and reach $4,000 for my house savings goal. So every time I save $4,000, I color in a line until this entire chart is colored. This and visual charts is what kept me motivated on my debt payoff journey. They're also the thing that's keeping me motivated on my savings journey. On a big, huge goal, and especially on a debt payoff journey, it can feel really defeated. In fact, when we make a debt payment, sometimes we tell ourselves that didn't even matter. Like it's $50 towards a huge, ginormous debt balance, and it's just a drop in the bucket. But when you can look back and see your progress in a visual way, all of a sudden your progress becomes real. It's like slowly but surely you're making that progress and you can see it in front of your face, and that's why I love these goal trackers. The next thing I like to fill in is my sinking funds visuals. Now, these visuals are a list of every single sinking fund that I have going on at the moment. So here are all the ones for 2019. Here are the ones for 2020. I haven't added my puppy fund yet. But it's a great way to see exactly where you are if you are saving for multiple things like your sinking funds. As you can see, 5 of these on this sheet for 2019 I've already reached and spent. I'm still working on Christmas and I'm still working on my puppy. If you flip to 2020, here's where I am in these savings goals. As you can see, Valentine's Day, which I like to have the money saved by January, I'm almost done. I have only $20 more to save for that, and then I hit my goal of $100. So that's with my sinking. I fill these out every single time I add to my sinking funds, which is every paycheck. The next thing I want to talk very quickly that I keep in my tracker binder is a yearly spending overview. So as a paycheck budgeter, it's great to be constantly going back and checking on your budget and doing that every paycheck. But what's also great is to see your spending and your goals on a yearly format. This is what's going to show you trends, important trends that you can then make changes to your budget in the new year or in the near future. So for me, what does this look like? I like to write down the income I received every single month. If you are working with varied income, maybe you are a hairstylist or do cosmetology, or you're a bartender, or you do many side hustles and you're receiving income daily, it is critical that you are tracking your income if you are on a varied income, because you need to use past estimates to determine new budget estimates for your paychecks in the future. So I usually I had quite a bit of an increase in April and May, but usually it hovers around $6,100 to $7,000 for my income. Food. And then what I do is I list out all of my budget categories. What are my budget category spending looking like every single month on a yearly form? I am right around the same for every single one of my budget categories, with the exception of savings. Of course, if I have more income, I'm going to save more. I have the total expenses. My total expenses that I'm spending every single month is huge. This is going to tell you and give you some great estimates to use in the future for any new budgets. And then of course, if I have any starting balances that I'm rolling over into the new month. The next worksheet that I use and like to fill out in a new visual tracker is my yearly balance overview. What is your savings balance doing every month? Your retirement, your debt, your net worth, all the things that are going to tell you whether or not you're making true progress and progress for the better in your finances. So my savings balance, it's amazing. I started with $14,800 in January in my savings account. This month, I'm at $94,316. It's amazing progress. Now, this is progress that you wouldn't see if you're just going paycheck to paycheck or month to month. So it's really important to see those trends. My retirement balance was $34,000 in January. It's $49,000 this month. So I'm making great progress there. Net worth started at $164,000 in January. I'm at $360,000 this month. So you want to make sure that the things that are supposed to be going up or down are actually going up and down. I like to see a couple of things in a graph form. Now, if you are paying off debt balance is something that I would choose to see in a graph form. I don't have debt, so I like to see savings balance and net worth. Both you want to see a trend of increase. I'm not talking about huge spikes on your graph. I'm talking about a steady, slowly increase. If you were to write and draw a straight line through your graph, is it actually increasing? And for me, it is. You can see if we took this piece of paper here and drew a line from start to ending, I'm getting a steady increase here, and same with my net worth. This is just great to see it in a yearly way in a graph form. This is my full budget recap for September. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe.